Hey there everyone, welcome back to another Game Vault video. As always, I'm Captain Beefy with the Game Vault. We're going to talk about Square Enix today. We've talked about these guys in the past. A little bit about their company, some of the stuff they've done. They've paired up with some DEI companies, I believe some Sweet Baby Inc., and they kind of swore them off. And I remember some of their investors called them to task last year sometime. But this is a new one. New Square Enix harassment policy could lead to legal action against gamers. Company will go after fans for denial of personality. What? Let's cue the music and yeah, let's talk about this. All right, so Square Enix created a ton of controversy with its new group customer harassment policy, with many seeing it as a threat to both the gaming community and the industry as a whole. The group customer harassment policy is a new measure taken by Square to combat what it deems unacceptable behavior. The developer claims the policy will help with product improvement and quality. Here we go again. Everybody wants to control what you say, what you do, how you say it, thoughts and words, and it's ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous. So the problem with this is we have this generation out there now that is in the workforce, and they're soft. These are the softest people that have ever existed in the history of humanity. And it's absolutely terrible. I see them in the comments all the time. You criticize something and they want to come in and cry in the comments about it. And, you know, all they have is insults. They have no positive, they have no feedback. They can't have a discussion, because as soon as you have a discussion with them, all they do is lash out in anger and frustration because they're incapable of having a valid discussion. And they're so angry all the time. And they're so angry because they're impotent. You know, they're impotent in the way they think. I don't even know how to say it, man. But like they see everything as hatred, right? You can criticize something and it's not hate speech and all that. And this is where we get into this weird gray area here. What is Square Enix trying to do? And what kind of, what are they trying to control here? Square Enix believes that the feedback, comments, and requests received from our customers are essential to the advancement of our group's products and services. Therefore, we are committed to strive to apply your voice in improving our services and products, the Japanese developer said on the policy's official page of the Square website. At the same time, there are instances where certain customers take actions directly or through our support centers or towards our group executives, employees, partners who are involved in the creation and distribution of our group products and services that constitute customer harassment, such as denial of personality, violence, defamation, intimidation, advance notice of wrongdoing, advance notice of obstruction of business, harassment. Some of these, anyway, such actions do not only prevent our employees and partners from engaging in their work with a sense of security, but also cause disruptions to other customers. Square Enix will not tolerate harassment and will take action as necessary. Wow, Square Enix, you guys. What the hell, bro? Okay. So what is denial of personality? I mean, violence, that's 100% with you on there. Nobody should be threatening violence against anybody else, internet or not. It's stupid, and it's the lowest form of having an argument is that threat of violence. It's right above calling somebody a bigot or a racist or whatever else you want to call people. You know, that threat of violence, that's just below that, man. Defamation, yeah, you shouldn't be defaming people either. Intimidating, of course not. Advance notice of wrongdoing, I don't know what that is. Obstruction of business. I mean, harassment. Now, harassment is, that's subjective. Like, what do you consider harassment, right? Do you consider going on to somebody on X that works for your company and telling them you didn't like something they did in the game, maybe a performance of a voice actor or a character they created, and you found it to be a terrible job they did? Is that harassment or is that criticism? There's a fine line that it can be drawn there. And so, these things, this is why I hate this whole conversation about stuff like that. the whole thing about hate speech and hate crimes, for instance, right? That's another thing, hate speech, hate crimes, all that kind of stuff. There's no such thing as hate speech, really. I mean, you can use words in any way, shape, or form you want, any context you want. Hate speech is just, it's free speech, right? And I understand on platforms and businesses and all that, websites, they do have the right to control what people say, but Square Enix can't control what you say about them out in the real world. Maybe on their own website, if they have a comment section or a forum or something like that, they're more than welcome to police that however they want. But on X or, Facebook or wherever else, they've got no right to police or to try to come at you for that. It's not their business. The policy acknowledges that feedback, comments, and requests are vital for improving products and services. However, it uses questionable terms. Right. Denial of personality and excessive pursuit or reprimand that suggest otherwise. While protecting employees from legitimate threats like violence or stalking is essential, these subjective categories open the door to potential abuse. And that's the problem there. Should Square Enix determine that an individual has engaged in an action against one of our employees or partners that exceeds socially acceptable behavior or is harmful, we reserve our right to cease providing support services or to refrain from providing our group's products and services, Square goes on to say. Where such action is egregious or with malicious intent, Square Enix reserves its right to protect its employees and partners and to take legal action or criminal proceedings upon consulting the police and or lawyers. Square Enix has made it clear it will cease providing support services to offenders and reserve the right to pursue legal action or criminal proceedings. This heavy-handed approach shifts the dynamic between gamers and developers, replacing open dialogue with a chilling fear of reprisal for any form of dissent. Now, by creating this new policy, Square Enix can now declare anything as harassment, including legitimate criticism of its products, and in doing so, Square can, in theory, press charges against critics under the claim of harassment. How do you even go about that? So one thing I can see here, like Final Fantasy 14, right? That's the online Final Fantasy, I believe. So I could see them shutting down your account if that's what they wanted to do. If they found out you were doing certain things that they didn't like, and they could probably ban you from your account and screw you out of that. I could see that being cease providing support services or whatever. I don't know what else they could do. I mean, once you purchase a game and you have it, it's your game, right? Can they go into my PlayStation and remove my copy of Final Fantasy VII, or whatever? I don't think so. But, maybe they can. Maybe they can brick it or something. I have no idea. But legal action, what are they going to do? Send the thought police after me? They're going to send, some internet police force after me? Woo, hey, you said bad things on the internet. Come on, man. This is absolutely stupid. Really stupid. I live in the United States of America. We don't send people to jail, well, in most states, for saying things that upset people, Now, in California, of course, if you misgender somebody on purpose, you can go to jail. And I think maybe in New York as well. But that's about it. The rest of the country is normal. So good luck with that, Square Enix. Their new measures reflect a growing trend among corporations adopting DEI, policies that seem less about inclusivity and more about corporate image control. These policies often conflate genuine criticism with harassment, weaponizing subjective standards to silence dissenting voices. Square Enix may publicly state that it values customer feedback, but this policy suggests otherwise. By lumping legitimate criticism alongside actual harassment, the company risks alienating the very fans who've supported its success for decades. The inclusion of subjective offenses like excessive pursuit or reprimand blurs the line between constructive feedback and actual harassment. Who decides when a player's complaints cross into these ambiguous territories? Square Enix, of course. Or some freaking 25-year-old pimple-faced incel mod, that has purple hair and goes by they, them. That's probably the person that's going to be making these choices. A bunch of freaking weasels. Anyway, many suggest that Square's new policy is a violation of freedom of speech, as it limits feedback and open dialogue. A common critique that has been that the policy feels less like a shield for staff and more like a sword aimed at the community. Harassment should be addressed through existing legal framework, not by creating subjective policies that chill open discussion. Anyway, gaming thrives on passionate debates and constructive criticism. These exchange foster innovation and help developers address issues that might otherwise go unnoticed. Square Enix's policy risks undermining this dynamic, replacing it with a culture of fear. What happens if other companies follow Square Enix's lead? If vague policies and legal threats become the norm, the game industry's collaborative spirit could erode. Developers and gamers have always shared a unique relationship, one built on trust, engagement, and shared passion. Square Enix's history is one of groundbreaking innovation fueled by fan enthusiasm, but by taking steps to silence dissent, it risks alienating the very audience that built its legacy. This is terrible, man. Square Enix was always, well, not always, but they've been a great company for years. I love Final Fantasy since the 90s, I think, is when the original games came out. That I was there for Final Fantasy 1, and I've been with that series off and on through the years, and these guys have always had a certain feel to their games, you know. Probably one of the best JRPG creators of any developer throughout history, you know. And to see them go this route is disturbing, you know. It's really disturbing. You don't do this, man. You don't do this. You can't force people to be silent. All you're doing by doing this, Square Enix, is you're pushing your fan base away. People are not going to support you anymore. You know, why would we put money down on your next game, right? Let's say, you know, your next Final Fantasy game's coming out, Final Fantasy 7, the third part of it, whatever you're going to be calling it. If we can't go on and give it a valid criticism and say, you know, I don't like this game, you know, I don't like what you did with this because blah, 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 blah. Are you going to call it harassment? Are you going to call the police on me? If I make a YouTube video about it, are you going to send the police to my house? Are you going to swat me? You know, you're going to send the internet police to my job and get me during the daytime? What are you guys going to do about it? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's one of the most insane things I've ever heard of. Absolutely crazy. You know, you've lost. It's just another company that's lost my support, man. You really have. I've been rooting for you guys. I've been hoping that you wouldn't go down this route, but you know, Square Enix, you're right down there at Ubisoft now. Just another trash shithole company. And I hope you guys, fail. I wish you the worst, and I hope you guys go out of business. So, you know, send the police after me for that. Anyway, for now, gamers are left wondering, is it safe to criticize the games they love, or will even constructive feedback come with legal warning? How do you feel about this move? Yeah, what do you guys think about this? I mean, do you think this is just bluster and chest thumping and all that kind of stuff, or do you think this is legitimate? I just don't see how they could put their money where their mouth is as far as the legalese goes. You know, maybe, you know, cutting off people from Final Fantasy 14, whatever. Yeah, I can see that if they have accounts with them for that game. But otherwise, you know, we're free to speak in America. We're free to criticize and all that. Yeah, we're not free to stalk. Yeah, we're not free to threaten violence and stuff like that. There is a line to be drawn, and that line is pretty clear. But otherwise, come on. Anyway, leave your thoughts down below in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Ring that bell for notifications. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, fuck you, Square Enix. Peace.